it says here so it says his veil is light, and in the hadith narrated by Abu Bakr, instead of the word light, it's fire. If he withdraws it, aka the veil, the hijab, the splendor of his countenance would consume his creation so far as his sight reaches. So, Islamic truth. This veil is so powerful that it can withstand the splendor of Allah's countenance. This is literally Allah making a stone so heavy that he can't lift it.
That's bad logic because you believe Jesus is
What?
Christ and he
No,
Wait,
tabernacled.
wait,
Wait,
wait.
let
that
me just
has
Let
finish
him
my
speak.
point.
That's
Let
a
him.
too
I
quick. Go
okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
So if we can just reset for 1 second Islamic truth, right? I'm gonna say, and Logic will agree with me because he's seen this. I'm gonna say that the reason why Allah can't be God is because Allah is illogical. And since God is the grounding of all logic, he cannot be the opposite of logic. How do I prove this? Sahih Muslim 179a. Feel free to look it up. Sahih Muslim 179a. It tells us that Allah has this veil that is made of
Hell.
light. And the veil blocks the countenance of Allah's face from destroying creation as far as his eyes can see. Now, most Muslims agree that the veil is not a part of Allah, so therefore it's a created thing. The illogical part here comes in that Allah has been able to create something that can withstand the countenance of his face, which without all creation would be destroyed. So, in effect, Allah has made a rock so heavy that he can't lift, or a veil or a hijab so powerful that he can't destroy. So that's why Allah can't be God.
Can Allah make a veil so powerful we can't destroy it?
well, I mean, wait. Let me
I'm just
just peel
asking.
the
I'm
layer.
just asking yes or no. Like before we get
Well,
into the
let's
details.
peel a layer back. You said he created it, right? So anything
Okay.
to
Most
which he
Muslims agree.
creates,
Yes.
but
Okay.
he created it, so things to which he create, he can equally destroy.
Okay. Can
But not the
Allah
veil.
destroy the
No,
veil
you
So
with the
inserted
countenance of His face?
you
no, no,
inserted that he can't destroy the veil.
All
Logic, do you
right.
mind
Cool.
please bringing up the hadith? It's Sahih Muslim 179a. So I quoted it for you off the top of my head, but I think it's better if you see
Huh?
it. So
How was?
as you can
Can I?
see there,
Let me just
Logic.
interject real quick. How was the burning bush able to kind of contain
Ooh.
God's glory?
We can
Right?
May
talk.
I?
Would you?
We can talk about that in 1 second.
Okay.
Just see this, please, and tell me how this is possible.
Yeah. Please don't try to appeal to what I'm
So
saying.
it says here, so it says, his veil is light, and in the hadith narrated by Abu Bakr, instead of the word light, it's fire. If he withdraws it, aka the veil, the hijab, the splendor of his countenance would consume his creation so far as his sight reaches. So, Islamic truth. This veil is so powerful that it can withstand the splendor of Allah's countenance. This is literally Allah making a stone so heavy that he can't lift it.
That's bad logic because you believe Jesus is
What?
Christ and he
No,
tabernacled. Wait, let
that
me just
has
Let
finish
him
my
speak.
point.
That's a
Let him.
too
I
quick claim.
I
Wait,
mute
guys. Let him land.
myself purposely to not
Let him land.
interject.
Let him land.
Right. So what I'm saying is, wouldn't that be analogous to you believing that Jesus is God and he manifested in flesh, and the flesh itself was able to contain his glory?
okay.
Dang.
No,
So
it never
so
says. It never
guys,
says that.
I think if
Don't
we
move to
answer
the
it so fast,
Jesus analogy.
he'll run away, right? And I think we can answer the burning bush and the incarnation. They relate, perfect.
Cool.
But
Cool. I'll
Islamic
say.
truth,
I'll save that. I'll save it.
Islamic
Yeah.
truth. This shows us, regardless of Jesus, that Allah is illogical. What do you have to say to this?
Specifically this, not the Bible. Specifically
It
this.
doesn't demonstrate that.
Okay,
Okay. Why,
so
without appealing to the
if
Bible,
Allah
does it not demonstrate that?
if Allah can make a stone so heavy that he can't lift, I would say he wasn't God anymore. And if he's making a veil so powerful that it can withstand the splendor of his countenance, I'm still going to say the same thing because the created thing now is matching or exceeding the ability of God.
Yeah.
The
only
veil
the
is the
only
rock.
the only way that would make that those things would be analogous, because notice you said the rock to which he cannot lift. It isn't as if the veil that's created cannot be destroyed.
But
That's
it
that's
Okay.
the
literally
problem that you're
cannot
having.
because it's stopping him from destroying all creation. So it literally can't be destroyed.
No, that's why I.
Okay. Let's. I can draw
Why
this
does
out.
this
Okay.
guy keeps interrupting me every time I speak? It's very odd.
I can mute myself, but I was gonna draw it out if David permits me.
Nah, go ahead.
Sorry. Look. First of all, I apologize. Okay. Is that good? Okay.
Fair.
Cool. All right. So Allah, right, has a countenance or a gaze. Okay. And that countenance is like that. So this is the gaze, okay, of Allah. You can see that there. So Allah's gaze will destroy this creation. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. The veil does that, right? It blocks off the gaze. Now, the question first of all is, did Allah make this veil?
Yes.
So this is a created veil.
Yes.
Good. Now bear in mind, Allah's gaze, right? Allah's gaze destroys all creation, right? All creation. Anything that's created, if Allah looks at it, it will get destroyed. Does that make sense?
No.
It
Not gonna
says
follow that line of logic.
in the hadith, it specifically says that if his countenance touches creation, it will get destroyed. So anything that is created will get destroyed.
And you agreed the veil was
179b.
in that category.
That's what the reason why you're saying you don't agree with the logic is because you see the problem now,
Well, what
right?
I'm saying is we can make a distinction in terms of certain things that he creates.
Can
So
Allah create
yes,
things that can withstand His countenance?
what I'm saying is in terms of creation, there, there's
Can
one cat.
Allah?
What I'm saying is there's subcategories here. So the subcategory would be that human creation, anything outside of the veil, he'll be able to.
Yeah, but Allah created everything. We don't create anything. Allah created everything, right?
Yeah, sure,
Good, good,
So,
good.
I have
so
an
And the
answer for you.
veil, and the veil is part of everything, right?
sure, yes,
So then Allah should be able to destroy the veil.
he could destroy the veil.
Okay, but it says that his countenance will just destroy it. It's not that he chooses for his countenance to destroy it. It's just the mere splendor of the countenance. Does Allah choose his splendor?
No,
Okay, so since he doesn't choose his splendor, he can't stop it. It's just there, and it does its things like right? It just does its thing, and then creation gone. So the veil is part of those things that the splendor would go bye-bye, right? That's the problem. Okay? So, the veil both withstands and isn't able to withstand at the same time, in the same sense. That's a contradiction, right?
contradiction.
Now, I'll play the American national anthem after you give your answer. If your answer is not satisfactory, is that okay?
Sig, I got an answer for you.
Okay, you got an answer for me. What's up?
These are human beings talking about the nature of God using human language, so that analogies can't be perfect.
Godlogic,
outta
I
here.
might play the. Can I play the American Africa? Come on, let me play the national, bro. Okay, come on. Let's.
Dawood,
Okay.
analogies aren't perfect, man.
That's not an answer. So Islamic truth. Do you have a response to the contradiction?
yeah, it is not a contradiction. I see no issues once again with
Done
the
what, bro?
veil, right? Somewhat containing his glory from eliminating creation. I have no I
Okay.
have no issues with that.
But he's
It's
created
Is
interesting. You
something
have the
that
same
can limit
position.
that.
okay?
You have
Islamic
this.
truth.
Let's let
Okay.
them land, guys. We gotta let them land.
What I'm saying is, you guys have the same thing as well. when you look at the incarnation, when you look at the burning bush, and when it says no one can see God's face and live. But there's going to be a point where Christians will be able to see God's face.
Okay, so Islamic truth. I'm gonna say one thing and pass it over to Nectarios to talk to you about the burning bush
And the
and
face
the
to face.
incarnation. So again, Islamic truth. Can Allah make a stone so heavy he can't lift?
No.
Okay.
Well, he can make a veil so powerful he can destroy it.
Yes, he could destroy it.
Yeah, you know what?
He
Hey,
created
listen.
it.
Thank you so much, bro. We
All right,
appreciate you.
Islamic
We
truth. Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Because
And
there's a
Nectarios, take it
distinction
away.
between what I'm saying is there's a distinction between him being able to destroy the veil that he created and that veil
Can you?
not allowing his glory to destroy creation.
Okay. Can Allah create?
Why
Give
can't
it to
there be a
Nectarios.
distinction? What I'm saying is why can't there be a distinction between the two? Yes, he can destroy the veil, but that same veil, he's created it in such a way that it
That
doesn't allow
he
his glory to destroy creation.
that
I
he
don't
that
see
his
any
glory
issues with
can't
that.
destroy it.
But
Can his glory destroy it?
why not in his infinite wisdom just make creation not destroyed by his glory? Why did he need hijab for that? Like it just seems like if we're talking about like the functionality and like the best possible world, like a world that seems most logically coherent to make, I would just make a world that wouldn't be destroyed by my mere existence if I was an all-knowing God and not need a hijab
Yeah.
for that.
Like, why
Yeah.
does God even need a veil?
Well,
Or just
yeah, like
hold in the countenance like a fart. That's
That's hey, I can't lie. Listen, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for your service, brother. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. Okay, thank you so much for all of the good vibes that you've given us, brother. We did not mean to slander the religious faith of Islam. God bless America. God bless Godlogic. God bless Dawood. God bless Ananda, bro. We did not mean this. Alright, cool. We're done. We don't support America. Okay, we don't.
Are you guys familiar with the fact that the Quran?
That's right.
Oh, that's hilarious.
All right. Well, next topic.
I would love to share quickly a little bit more information on that because this is my favorite topic.
It's your favorite.
Yeah.
Veil is your favorite topic. I'm interested to hear this.
Surah 42:51. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that ayah with the veil context.
You said 251?
42:51.
It says, "It is not possible for a human being to have Allah communicate with them, except through inspiration, or from behind a veil, or by sending a messenger angel to reveal whatever he wills by his permission. He is surely most high, all wise." Again, why does he need a
Okay, so this is Avery. I'm just screen sharing a dissertation on this topic. So this is a 2008 dissertation, Near Eastern Studies work in Michigan. Notice the title of the dissertation, Tajali wa Ruya, a study of anthropomorphic theophany and visiode, so the visual deity, in Hebrew Bible, the Quran, and early Sunni Islam, by Wesley Williams. So his argument is that you have a build-up leading to Islam where the Bible describes Yahweh, obviously in Trinitarian language, where the second person of the Trinity is in essence, the veil by which the Father cannot be seen, right? So John 1:18 is a classic on this. No one has seen God, but the unique God at the Father's side has exegeted the Father. So Jesus is always that veil, so to speak, that holds back God's glory. And the whole point then is that if Jesus is the veil, once the incarnation happens, that's why you have statements like, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And then in glory, the whole point of resurrection and glorification is that once we are conformed to his image, Romans 8. So if we conform to Christ's image in our resurrection, then theosis happens, glorification happens, so that then we can see the Father's face without the veil, without the need for a veil. That's the whole point of Revelation 21:22. So I just want to clarify that he brings this up. So what I'll do is there's a statement he cites the particular ayah. Notice it's hijab over there, and notice that what I'll do is I'll bring up a statement where there we go. So according to Muhammad, notice he says the veil is light, and in footnote 406 he cites Abu Musa reported from the Prophet, his veil is light, in Sahih Muslim 1:113. And over here we have this particular Muslim in 924. He says, his, which is God's face, is that which he described with splendor and venerability in his statement, the face of your Lord remains possessor of splendor, and we say that the face of our Lord radiates a brilliant, radiant light, which, if his veil is removed, the glory of his face will scorch everything that sees it. So it's similar to that Sahih Muslim reference earlier. So just in summary, there's a whole dissertation on this, arguing that if the veil, so I'll stop sharing, if the veil is ontologically able to withhold Allah's glory, the question is the veil created? So, Avery, you've heard me mention two powers in heaven, the binitarian model leading to Trinitarianism. I brought this up with Muslims like 2-3 years ago. Do you know what their response to me was?
What?
No, the veil is created because, Surah 112 says, God is one, he's the As-Samad, he's the Eternal One, he neither begets nor is he begotten. There's no partners associated with him, right? There can't be anyone next to him, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. So the veil is a created object. So then I'm like, hang on, but then everything that is created cannot be in his presence. There has to be this hijab. Right. So it's like an infinite regression, right? So their response... Yeah. So wow. So their response to me was, Allah gave it permission to be able to withstand his glory.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure you've heard that phrase before, that like Allah gives permission to this and permission to that.
Yeah.
But hang on, if he gives permission to a created thing to withstand his glory from other created things, why can't he just give permission to every created thing to withstand to be
Yeah.
Like it. So I polemically pointed back to the New Testament's answer to the age-old question that Moses asked, can I see your face? The Christian answer is, we can see his face, but it's through the whole process of the incarnation of Christ, who is the veil, by which then we can see the Father in glory in that resurrection. That's the mechanism. Otherwise, it's a mystery, right? Muslims are like, well, we don't know how the mechanism works. He just gives it permission. No, the veil is Allah 2.0. The second Allah, basically.
Yeah.
There's an interesting
issue I have with your response is you believe that the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, they're ontologically the same. So why is one operating as a veil? Why would one be operating as a veil? They're ontological. They have the same ontological nature.
I don't think he's saying that it's one-to-one. I think this is a classic case where Islam has misunderstood the concept it's copying. I'll give you like another two great examples. When it says Allah has two right hands that he creates with, that's the Father with the Son and the Spirit. When it talks about Jesus bringing clay birds to life, the point of that story in the Gnostic Gospels is that he's God. It seems to be constantly quoting things that it doesn't really get the context of. So I don't think he's saying it's perfectly one-to-one. I think it's just explicating that the inspiration for the view is coming from a certain notion about how Christ is the express image and reflects the Father, and thus reveals to us the person of the Father, being his perfect, once again, reflection. Like, remember, we're made in the image. He is the image of the Father. Character, I believe the word is.
Yep. In Hebrews 1, it uses the term character, but it also juxtaposes it with hypostasis.
Yes.
So he's the apogasma. That's that radiant language and it's only one Greek. It's the only time that word occurs in the New Testament, apogasma. and he's the substance of the being, Jesus. He's a hypostasis, and the exact imprint, so the Greek word character. So Jesus is all of these things, and is at the right hand, seated at the right hand of the Father, so that we become co-heirs with Christ, right? So that when we are conformed to Him, who's the Son of God, right, we then become the adopted sons and daughters of God, right, through Christ. So adoption language, which notice the Quran denies. You can't. That Allah has no children, right? We can't call Allah Abba. But for Christians, because Jesus is the veil or the son by which we can be adopted in, now we can call this creator God a father, Abba. Like, that's beautiful, right? So 2 Corinthians 3 ends with, and this is the polemical response. 2 Corinthians 3 ends with, let me read this bit. Should I share the screen or should I just read it out?
Sure. It's always good for visuals.
Okay, I'll read. It's important that we read this bit here and this very next bit about seeing God's glory in the face of Jesus. All right, so Paul basically ends the analogy of the veil with Moses. So since we have such a hope, right, about this permanent glory that in the new covenant, so we speak very boldly, not like Moses, who kept covering his face with a veil to keep the people of Israel from gazing at the end of what was fading away. However, their minds were hardened, for to this day the same veil is still there when they read the Old Covenant. Only in union with the Messiah, which is Jesus, is that veil removed. Wow. In union with Jesus as Christians? Yet even to this day, when Moses is read, a veil covers their hearts. But whenever a person turns to the Lord, now, this is ambiguous because turns to the Lord in what sense? Is it the Father? Is it Jesus? The answer is yes, right? This is deliberate Trinitarian language. The veil is removed. Now, the Lord is a spirit, and where the Lord's Spirit is, there's freedom. Notice that language. No longer is there a hindrance in our worship. As all of us reflect the glory of the Lord with unveiled faces, so notice, all of us, so literally every single human being who turns to Christ and is conformed to His image, we are reflecting God's glory in our faces now because we are in Jesus. And we are becoming more like Him with an ever-increasing glory by the Lord's Spirit. And that's why He then brings up the whole, if our gospel is veiled, that this is a little bit of sarcasm on His point, right? It is veiled to those who are dying, and so there's this blinding language. But then at the same time, I'll read this bit over here from 5 to 6. For we do not preach ourselves, but rather Jesus the Messiah as Lord, as Yahweh, and ourselves as merely your servants for Jesus' sake. For God, who said, now he quotes the Genesis passage, let light shine out of darkness, has shone in our hearts to give us the light of the knowledge of God's glory in the face of Jesus. So notice that very deliberate language. God's glory is in the face, which corresponds to John 1:1. In the beginning is the Word. As far back as eternity as you can go, the Word was. The Word is proston theon, face to face, and therefore the Word is God ontologically. But then the Word becomes flesh, right? And then what does it say when the Word became flesh? It says, so the Word tabernacled, lived among us, we gazed on His glory, the kind of glory that belongs to the Father's unique Son.
And we weren't destroyed.
Yeah,
that's an important.
Exactly. This is why. By the way, this is why. In First John, so John's letter, this is why he starts the letter with this shocking statement. It's sort of like a paraphrase of what he says in his gospel. He says, "What existed from the beginning, what we have heard, what we've seen with our eyes, what we observed and touched with our own hands, this is the logos of life." This life was revealed to us, right? And we declare to you this eternal life that was, notice this, that was with the Father and was revealed to us. And yeah, I mean, the whole point of First John is about glorification in Jesus. So in other words, those who are Antichrist deny the incarnation, like deny him becoming human. So that's a docetic argument, right? So anyway,
Nice. That's deep
I
stuff.
appreciate you allowing me to share that, Avery. This is one of my favorite topics.
Thanks for the wisdom, man. And it's beautiful to see how, you know, the Bible gives answers and insight on these things, where in Islam it's absolutely like you do not know. You don't have a clue about Allah's veil. There's no depth. There's none of this. Right? It's tough. So it's amazing, man. It really is amazing what the Holy Spirit did by revealing these truths, man. And thanks, Rob, for bringing this stuff out. It's beautiful.